little after 3. Yankee baseball tonight, and it'll be the first game of the year for Alex Rodriguez, who will be back with Fox and with Kevin Burkhardt, and they'll be in the booth tonight seeing his old club, and he joins us now. He also got the Shark Tank coming up, so you want to sell him a new idea you have. He's going to be when are you going to be on the Shark Tank for the first time?
You know, Mike, we start that video in mid-June sometime.
Are you going to be a regular this year, or are you just going to fill in?
I don't know. They've offered me, I haven't read the contract, but I think they bring in 3 or 4 or 5 of us. And if they like you, maybe they keep you for the season, or maybe they keep you for a handful of shows.
Oh, yeah. No, you would be. Listen, I love that show. Do you watch that show?
I do. I've watched it for a long time.
And I like it. You know what? Mr. Wonderful does a good job being a nasty guy, and you got Cuban who buys everything, and you got all the other guys, and they fight and they get on each other. So that'd be a great show for you. You'll fit in well. That's going to be fun.
It's fun. It's also educating. You know, I know
it's a good show. My
it.
kids love it. My kids love that show. I got 2 12-year-olds and a 10-year-old. They love that show.
Mine too. That's
it. So A-Rod's going to be on the Shark Tank. I saw him on CNBC the other morning, so he's getting around. And now back to the baseball. How about the Yankees, huh? I mean, you know, once they got rid of those old stiffs like you and Teixeira, look at the way they're hitting this year.
Smart. You know, it's funny. I saw a bunch of my teammates yesterday, and I hadn't seen them since spring training. And I was happy to see them. They were happy to see me, and they were especially happy that I wasn't wearing a Yankee uniform.
Well, I tell you something. They're hitting like you used to hit. Man, I tell you, how about the Yankees? They are just lighting it up with this offense this year.
You know, Aaron Judge obviously has been kind of a great story, but there's a lot of unsung heroes. I mean, top to bottom, they've been unbelievable.
Castro has been great, and Hicks has been like a different guy this year.
Yeah, I don't even recognize Hicks. He's been probably, for me, the most pleasant surprise. And one of the biggest turnarounds, obviously not only in performance and body language and attitude, but he is completely focused, and he's been a big key of this team.
Tell me this. We're talking with, obviously, Alex Rodriguez. Tell me this. Why does Judge look so much more comfortable and so much more coordinated this year than he did last year?
You know, Mike, one of the things we like to do with our young hitters, we don't like to make any decisions before 2,500 at-bats. And it takes about 5 seasons to get that. And it takes time, especially when you're 6'7", 285 pounds. That's wholly different than a smaller guy like a Chuck Knobloch or even a Joey Cora. There's so many moving parts. There's so many things going on. He had a full off season, and he went back. He was very focused. He worked on bat angle, and he worked especially on neutralizing that leg kick that was getting out of control. He's a lot more into his leg, and he's just a different guy this year.
He is. He's obviously confident, and it's working well. But you know what? He's hitting the off-speed pitch. He's taking pitches. He's not getting fooled by pitches. It just seems like his pitch, everything, his comfort level, his pitch recognition, everything looks so different this year.
You know, when you go back in the offseason, Mike, and he's a really smart kid. He's got great parents, off-the-charts makeup, and when you go to the offseason and you get a chance to look back and understand how people got you out and how pitchers were pitching you, sometimes in those 4 months, you know, you can figure it out. And when you combine that with, you know, really high talent, you get what you're getting.
Talking with A-Rod about the Yankees. He'll be doing the game tonight. He's obviously found the home doing the games on TV with Fox. He does a great job there. You know, you and Bird are close. You've raved about him. I know you've liked him. And I said to you a couple weeks ago, I said, you better go pay him a visit because it just seemed, even before he got hurt, and maybe the ankle problem, the foot problem was bothering him more than he was letting on. But, boy, it just seemed like he got lost there somewhere. And we know slumps get all-consuming. But, boy, for a guy who had just the best spring anybody ever saw, he's hitting 500 with 8 home runs. He just hasn't been able to get it going this year.
You know, he's had a rough start. He's had a rough couple of years. I mean, who would have thunk that the best player in spring training, you know, he's been basically absent the whole year, and the Yankees are leading the world in every offensive category. That tells you a lot more about the depth of the organization. And, you know, everyone talks about a 25-man roster. I think we have a 35-man roster, and that's a really good thing.
What do you see? Would you be worried about Bird right now? What would you tell Bird? If Bird calls you, what do you tell him?
You know, the hard thing, Mike, is you can't. I'm very high on him. I continue to be very bullish in his future. The one thing it is impossible to forecast is, can a guy be durable? And as a star player, especially a superstar player, the most important statistic year in and year out is games played.
Yeah, no question. And he obviously now is having trouble with, but I still like everything. He just seems like that swing's going to be really good at Yankee Stadium. He just needs to break out of it. I know guys are down on him now. I'm still very high on him. I know he had a rough start. He really did. But I still think he's going to be fine. I mean, I still think he's got a great future, Bird.
I do, and I think he fits this team like a glove. The team, even though they're doing great, I think they're a better team with him at first base consistently. And look, the goal in New York is always to win a world championship. Today, they're no longer, we're a quarter of the way in. You start becoming who you are, and the identity of this team is one that says, hey, this is a team that can be World Series bound, and they're a better team with Greg Bird. Greg Bird, number one advice I would give him is, do everything you can from, correcting the exercises to getting in the gym, just try to get back on the field as soon as possible.
Yeah, and there comes a point where you can't salvage your season, right? You just try to do the best you can, right? I mean, if you get back and you miss a couple of months, you're not going to have the big numbers maybe you dreamed about in the spring. So you got to realize just have a good month, right, or have a good finish.
The good news, Michael, in New York is that the most important month is October. And New York is about moments, not about statistics. New York's about winning. So if you come back, and you've seen this many times in New York, Mike, if you have a strong finish and you get some big hits in October, this will be a year to remember. So in New York, you're always in play to save the season. Are
you surprised how listen, we thought maybe next year they'd blend and get and start to put it back together. Are you surprised how fast they've jumped out this year and how good they've been?
Yeah, I am. And, they were my pick to click into surprise when we did our Fox preseason forecast. But even I'm surprised. Look, I've known these guys, a lot of our young players, for 5, 6, 7 years, and it's all coming together very nicely all at once, and it's coming from top to bottom. There's a different hero every night. They have speed and power. They have a great mix of young with experienced players. And for me, Mike, Joe Girardi's done as good a job as I've ever seen him managing a team. And a lot of people forget, in 2006, he managed Hanley, Dentrell Willis, Cabrera. He is really good with young players.
He is, and I'll tell you who else has been the unsung guy, too, is Castro. Castro's been tremendous this year.
We got Castro to get his work ethic to very consistent. Matt deserves a lot of credit, who's our strength and conditioning guy, and he chased him around all year last year. He's got him in there. He's stronger. He's faster. He's in better shape. And look, he looks like an MVP right now, too.
You're the perfect guy for this, because this has come up a lot. We're talking with Alex Rodriguez. You played all those years. You didn't get hurt. You played a million years. You played every year. You're seeing guys now, and you hear a lot of guys saying, Lou was on, and you know how you like to listen to Lou. Lou was saying these guys are too conditioned. They lift weights too much. They spend too much time in the gym. They spend too much time all year. You're seeing the highest numbers in the history of baseball. Some teams have 12, 14 guys disabled. It's unbelievable. Not just power pitchers, everyday players. Why, and you spanned enough of an era now to see this, why are so many baseball players getting injured?
Boy, that is a great question. I'm not a doctor, so I'm not really, can't tell you that.
Do you think they work too hard? Do you think guys are spending too much time lifting weights? What do you think?
Look, I think this. I think there's a certain amount of luck in genes and DNA that actually plays into it. I've been very fortunate that I was able to, recover very fast. I remember I would get hit, and the next day there wouldn't even be a black mark. And there's some other guys that you bump them, and they have, a big,
right.
It looks like a big strawberry,
right.
So there's a lot to do with that. The other thing is, for me, I think running is one of the most important things. When you look at guys that I got on the track every off season and did my 400s, 200s, 100s. I always try to train like a track athlete or like a football player.
Did you take time off after the season, or did you work right through?
I took a little time off, but, for me, baseball was 365, 24/7. It was the most important thing in my life. And I think guys don't run enough, and then all of a sudden, Mike, you got to stretch a single into a double or go first to third, and there goes the hamstring. For me, guys like Ichiro who run every day and are always stretching, they never get hurt. They're very durable. I think guys need to run more, open it up a little bit.
Interesting, because you mentioned Ichiro, and Ichiro never gets hurt. Maybe that's genetics too. Maybe it's body, the whole thing. But so you would say maybe more running, maybe more throw, maybe more stretching, more running than so much maybe time in the gym.
Yeah, I mean, Mike, this is a game that you have to run every day, but yet nobody works on sprints anymore. And I know back, I hate to sound like an old guy, 70s and 80s,
Right.
that's all people did. But the most important exercise you can do is, sprint work.
I'll tell you what no one does anymore. When I was a kid, I used to love this. When we'd go to the games early, after batting practice, they would put the team on the field, and you'd throw. And you'd see the outfielders throw to second, then throw to third, throw home, come off the field. Same thing, run the drills like you did in high school, like we did in high school. They stopped doing that. They stopped taking infield. They stopped doing that stuff. I wonder about how much Major League players. Now, you used to go out before every game, and everyone would talk about it. You'd take the ball and throw it from all the way in the right field corner to home plate. We'd all watch you do it. You used to throw the ball all the way to Holt with that arm. He goes all the way from the behind the plate to the right field. But guys don't throw before the game anymore like they used to in the old days. They used to throw. All the outfielders would throw. They throw to every base. You don't see guys throwing before the games anymore.
That's a great point, Mike. I believe that if you don't use it, you lose it. And for me, it was a tragedy when you see young players come in with cannons, with 7 and 8 arms, which means the best arm can rate out of 2 out of 8. And all of a sudden, by the time they're 30, they can't throw a lick. And it was very. I think you have to throw. I think you have to use it. And it for us. My concern, Michael, is that all our young players want to do right now is hit and worry about offense. And I think the big separator is great defense, and also is what helps you win.
Well, that's how they get paid too. That's why that's why they get paid when they hit. How good you're going to do Fox again? You got the Yankees tonight. Houston came in here, beat the Yankees 3 out of 4. The Yankees had a rally to win the one game. They look good. They have good young players. They got good young pitchers. They're 29-12. They got the kid at short that everyone compares to you. How good do you think Houston is right now?
I think Houston is very good. They were good last year. They're great this year. And the reason why, another year under A.J. Hinch as manager, who's got a great makeup and does a nice job with that clubhouse. And then you had Brian McCann and Carlos Beltran, who are 2 of the most professional guys you ever want to play with. It's a great compliment, like the Yankees, of experience with great talent and youth.
Yeah, they look like this. They've been waiting for a couple of years, and you're right. They went and added the Beltran, added McCann, added a couple of veteran guys. You need those couple of veteran guys in the room, don't you? You
do, because you take a kid like Carrera and you take all their young players, and what you do when you put a guy like Carlos Beltran, who has been through all the experiences and all the big moments, and what you do is you expedite their learning curve. They get to learn. Me being around Edgar Martinez, I learned in 1 year what most players learned in 5, and you do that for 2 or 3 years. Even 1 year, it becomes incredibly valuable, not only for now but for the future of Houston. So
was Edgar the guy who was the biggest influence on you when you were young?
Yes, without a question. I mean, he was like a Harvard professor. He had his PhD in hitting, and I had the luxury that I flew with him cross country all the time, and he was my locker mate, and I can ask him a million questions, and I did. Lifetime
312 hitter too. I mean, for a right-handed hitter, that's a big average. Lifetime 312. So I mean, he was and the guy the Yankees could never get out in a big spot. Never.
And Mike, 312 with a guy who can't run.
Couldn't run at all. Got no leg hits. Good point. Never got a leg hit. I mean, couldn't beat out anything. A matter of fact, it had to go through the infield for him to get a base hit. Absolutely true. But he was a killer, and the only righty I ever saw, well, a couple guys. Manny did too, but Edgar owned Mariano Rivera. Just absolutely owned him. He couldn't get him out. No matter what he did, he couldn't get him out.
Yeah, he said he saw the ball really well off him. I mean, towards the end, Mariano started throwing the sinker, and that became a problem for Edgar. At the very end, he got him out consistently, but that was just at the end once he got the sinker. The
A-Rod's he starts his Fox year. Now, you've kind of found a home on TV with Fox. How do you like it?
Well, I like the guys a lot. I mean, the people you see on TV with, obviously, Pete, Frank, and our host, Kevin, but then all the guys in the background with Barty and Royce. It feels good. We have good energy, and it's a lot of fun.
Is Rose back?
Rose is back.
I see. Yeah. Then it's fun because you don't have no idea what he's going to say. I mean, he could say anything. You just have it's unbelievable. You just have no clue what he's going to be talking about during the game. He could be talking about anything.
He can say anything, and you've got to stay on your toes. It makes it for great television. I mean, he's got a little bit of the Charles Barkley in him, but the thing is, too, he's very smart. Obviously, nobody's seen more baseball than him, and he's got the mind of a hedge fund trader.
You know, he's a good baseball guy. He really is. You know, he does know the game. Pete Rose is just one of those guys who naturally just understands baseball. He can just tell he does. You know, he just gets whether we all know he's nuts, but the bottom line is he does know what he's talking about when he's talking baseball.
Well, Mike, and he loves the game, and that's something that I really appreciate. He can sit there and watch, 3 or 4 games at the same time, and well, actually, I'm sure he's done that too. But look, he loves the game, and when he speaks it, you can tell he has a great passion.
Do you
for it.
miss playing?
I miss my 4 at bats. I miss the clubhouse. I miss a lot of that happens with the guys, going to dinner, spending time with them. But I don't miss the grind. I don't miss waking up and my body hurting and waking up sore. But I get my fix with Fox and being around the Yankees, and I'm in a good place. I'm enjoying retirement.
From 10 years old to the day you retired, you hit probably almost every day of your life. When was the last time you got in the batting cage and swung a bat? Or when was the last time you swung a bat?
It was my ground ball to short on my last at bat.
So you haven't had a bat or swung at a ball since?
Nope.
Wow. Really? Not one time?
Not one.
Wow,
no.
That's wild. That's wild. That's it. So, all right, we'll be watching you tonight. Say hello to Kevin for us, and good luck with the Shark Tank stuff. That should be fun.
Okay, thanks, Mike.
Take care, everyone. All right, so Alex Rodriguez on the Yankees and other things. He is going to do Shark Tank. I don't know. They use fill-in guys, I told you, other than the regular guys, so we'll see if he's a regular or not. But I love that show. You know what the best thing I told you is that show's educational. Because the kids they get a good idea about, the bidding and the whole thing and business and, take valuations of the companies and all this stuff. They're really serious about that, those people on that show. And they actually take these companies and these guys who are all well-established, successful business people. Okay, and A-Rod fits that bill. I mean, A-Rod's been very successful in business off the field, folks. Especially in real estate, he's been enormously successul. So, as you would expect, I mean, he made a lot of money on the field, but he's made a lot of money off the field. So he's very successful. Otherwise, you're not on that show. You have to, because you bid for companies. You actually outbid the other people. You bid them for companies, and then you're involved. And some of these people have turned. I'll give you an example. There's this sponge out. You guys ever see this thing, Scrub Daddy, with the face?
Oh, I own them.
Okay, that comes from that show. They bid that up. They've made over $10 million on those sponges, Scrub Daddy, which I saw the show they did it on. You can go into any store in America, any hardware store, any Home Depot, any whatever store would sell that stuff. You guys know more than me. Which shows
I get them on Amazon.
Whatever, where they have sold tens of millions of dollars worth of those Scrub Daddies. And all it is like this durable sponge, right? Which has got a little face on it, and I don't know what makes it special. I've never used one, but I've seen them. So I mean, something special about the sponge. But they've made a fortune with these Scrub Daddies. And they all have Cubans made money with some of these products, and all these people they've done. Whether it's food or it's cakes or it's someone made money with. You ever see that small popcorn they have now? That they have the little popcorn. They call it Pipcorn, not popcorn, Pipcorn, and it's really good too. Check it out. Pipcorn was another one. The young couple made a fortune with Pipcorn. You see it on there, you Google it, see Pipcorn? It's really good, too. It's like a smaller one, so they don't stick in your teeth. It's Pipcorn. And they made a ton of money with this Pipcorn. They have all these different things that they've made a ton, whether they're products for the holidays or clothes or all different products. And they've made, some of these have been, you can look up the 10 most successful products from the Shark Tank, and they've all made millions of dollars, these products. And you see them in all these different stores or on QVC. The lady from QVC is one of the 5 who's on there. So they have, really just, it's a fascinating show. And Cuban's the one who's got the most money. They all have money, but Cuban has a lot. And
Lori Grenier.
Lori Grenier from QVC. She,
she's nice looking.
Yeah, you like Lori Grenier?
A little bit, yeah.
So she's on there. You got obviously a guy who sold his company. They call him Mr. Wonderful. Sold his company for $3.2 billion. The company he started, he sold it for $3.2 billion. Cuban, obviously, all the money he's made, and with the Mavericks and everything, he's always like the anchor guy, Cuban. He's always the last one, too. He's always in there bidding for stuff. So it's a fascinating show. And now A-Rod's going to be one of the guys. They use Paul Mitchell, the guy with the hair guy. He's on once in a while. The guy who started GoPro's on once in a while. So they have all these different people who kind of fill in, and they all bid for these products, and they question people, and they try to go in and get an offer from one of the sharks, and the sharks fight each other for it, and they team up, and it's really fascinating. Really, I love the show. I love it. It's on CNBC, NB Night. The reruns of it. It's great. It's really fun to watch. It really is. Back after this.